Hey friends, it's Elizabeth here from the Everyday Storyteller, and in this video I'm going to share how I created my title page for my 2021 album. So as you can see, I have this 6x12 layout that I have a sketch for, and the main idea that I wanted to go with is a full-length photo with some word art on the top. And in the sketch, I have two envelopes that I'm going to be adding journaling to. That idea does change as I am creating this layout, but I am going to take you to Photoshop here in a second and show you how I created the base of my layout. So first off, I'm just going to create a canvas that is sized at 6 inches by 12.425 inches. I could use just the 6x12, but I like my 6x12 layouts to be just a little bit taller so they fill up the page protector. And then I am going to add in my photo just by dragging and dropping the photo into my canvas. Now this photo has been edited in Lightroom on my phone, and I'm just using the cursor to make it a little bit bigger. I probably used about the bottom third of my space with my photo. And I'm going to be using the blur and blend tool to kind of make sure that there is no hard line in between my photo and the background. I got really lucky that they kind of blended together already, so I didn't have to do very much. And then I'm going to add this word art that says 2021, and this is by Liz Tamanaha from Paisley Press. And I'm just kind of figuring out where I'm going to add my envelopes, which is why I am using the guides to kind of guide me on how much room I need and how much bigger I can make my photo. So to print this at home, I'm going to create another canvas that is sized at 13 by 19. That's the size that my wide format printer prints at. And then I'm just going to use the copy and paste feature to copy my layout and paste it onto the new canvas. And because it is white, I am going to add a stroke around it just by double clicking on the layer and adding a 2px stroke in gray. Alright, so once the base of my layout is completed, I'm going to go ahead and work on the pattern I'm going to use for my envelope. And I'm just going to create an 8.5 by 11 canvas, and I will be dragging and dropping one of the cards from the Ali Edwards Hope Story Kit. I believe the pattern or the journaling card is called Heart Pattern, and I'm just going to drag and drop that onto my canvas and resize it to about 5 by 7. And I actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best color for this pattern paper. I started off using vellum and my own version of this geometric heart pattern, but I just decided to recolor this actual journaling card. And I just used one of the other journaling cards from the Ali Edwards Hope Story Kit to grab that blue color with my eyedropper tool. And I'm just going in and using my paint bucket tool to recolor this card. So as you can see, I'm just clicking all of those little spaces that have that reddish brown color, and the paint bucket tool automatically makes those pixels the blue color that I chose. It does get a little bit fiddly in some corners if the pieces are really small, but if you zoom in enough, this is a pretty easy process. And after I recolored the background blue, I also went in and recolored the geometric heart pattern white. So one of them was already white, a couple were pink, and then a couple were off-white. So I just used my paint bucket tool again to just color them all pure white. Once that's done, I'm going to work on my journaling spots, and I'm going to create these journaling spots by just making 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares. And then I'm going to use part of a journaling card from the Ali Edwards Hope Story Kit. I believe this one is called The Story of Right Now or something like that. And I just want to use that top floral portion. So I resize it to fit inside my 2.5 inch square, and then I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool to draw a box around the floral part that I want to use. And I'm going to right click and say layer via copy, and that's just going to give me a new layer that just has the part of the card that I want to include on the new card in one layer. So I'm just going to position that where I want it to be, and I decided it looked a little bit plain, so I'm going to use one of the word phrase stickers to add a little bit of a title to those little journaling spots. So I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool again and draw a box around the sentiment that I want to add to my card. Again, right click, layer via copy, and that will create a new layer with just that little word phrase sticker that I wanted to add to my card. So in the final product, you might see that I actually went over this word phrase sticker, created a new rectangular box, and added our names to the top of the card instead of this sentiment, but the process kind of remains the same. So now I'm just adding in my journaling. I'm not going to show you the exact journaling that I added because it took a little bit long to make this succinct. But now I'm going to bring you over to my desk and we will put together this layout. Alright, so now I'm back at my desk with everything that I need to complete this layout. I'm just going to cut out all of the different parts of the layout. And as you can see, I only have 2 journaling spots printed out. I will print out my husband's journaling at a later time. He was just at work when I was creating this layout, so I didn't have time to ask him to fill in the journaling. But right now I'm going to work on my envelope. So I'm going to cut out that pattern paper and cut it into a 3 3/4 inch by 6.5 inch rectangle. So you're going to see me do that right now. Now to create my envelope, I'm going to start by scoring a 1/2 inch on both sides of the length of my paper. So I'm just going to use my bone folder and my paper trimmer to score a 1/2 inch on both sides of that. And then to create my flaps, I'm going to score a line at the 2.75 or 2 3/4 inch mark on one side, and then the 1 inch mark on the other side. So you're going to see me move that over and score a line 1 inch from the right and 2 3/4 inches from the left. And that will create the flaps for my envelope. And once I'm finished scoring all of those lines, I'm just going to use those lines as guides to help me cut out the flaps for my envelope and use my bone folder to fold down all the edges that I'm going to need to create my envelope. Once all that is done, I am just going to be using my regular rolling adhesive to adhere down all of my flaps, and then I'm also going to use a corner rounder to round the corners of that top flap just to give it a little bit more of a finished touch. And I am ready to add my journaling spots and an embellishment to my envelope. So as you can see, I'm just cutting out my journaling spots. I'm going to be adding those into my little envelope, making sure that they fit. I had to cut them just a teeny wee bit because I kind of messed up on my my scoring of the envelope, but it ended up being fine. And then as my final embellishment, I just chose this chipboard piece from the Ali Edwards Hope Story Kit that says hoping for a little more of this, which worked really well with my journaling since that is all about our hopes for 2021. And I'm just going to add that to the top of my envelope. I backed the chipboard up with some regular printer paper just so that the back of it wouldn't be sticky, and I could just stick the top half of it to the top flap, and then the rest of it wouldn't stick to the bottom of the envelope, so it could be opened and closed. And since this is going into a page protector, I felt fine with just leaving it kind of open like that. I did think about adding one of these little hearts or stars, but I decided against it, and now I'm just fiddling around with the placement of that chipboard embellishment. And coming up here, you're going to see the final photos. So I hope you enjoyed this process video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.